Did she say that I was unusual? How you guys doing, Vegas? You guys doing good? You're doing better than I thought you would, because here we are in Vegas. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I thought in a city like this, people don't start crawling out of bed until like 2 p.m. You guys with me on that? But this seems like a power group. I'm super excited to be talking to you guys today. I can feel the massive energy that's just pulsating from you. I thought I'd come in and start seeing some salmon face this early in the morning. Do you guys know what I mean? Maybe some riding the pony out there. Like, are we still doing keynotes? Am I supposed to go to the next session? But I see a lot of energy out there, you guys. I'm super excited to be talking about a particular topic that I'm very passionate about, which is innovation and creativity. I've been in learning and development for about 20 years. I've had a great opportunity to train on a lot of different topics in a lot of different places. And about 8 years ago, I came across this topic of innovation, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It's one of these things that everybody sees a lot of value in, but everybody has a lot of questions around, well, what does it really mean, and what am I supposed to do? And so my goal over the last 8 years has been, I want to try to make innovation and creativity very practical for people. I want you to be able to grab this concept. I'm a very simple guy. I've got a very simple haircut. I have kind of a complicated beard going on here, but I want to make this simple for you guys. So simple that in 30 minutes when you leave here, you've got some ideas and some things you can do to start being more of a creative leader and really be that force that can drive innovation and change within your organization. Does that sound okay with you guys? Do you guys like me? Trying to get a vibe here. Thank you. Yeah, a couple people. Yeah, somebody was riding the pony. What? So let's get the energy going. Number one, I want you guys to do something. JJ said it was going to be a little interactive. I want you to turn to somebody near you and give them a high five like you mean it, you guys. Let's get the high fives going. Pow! Those were some amazing high fives. There's two things that really get the energy going. Number one is high fives. Number two is research. You guys with me on that? People love yeah, give us some research. So I'm going to give you some research on creativity and innovation, but I'm going to do it in the form of a game show, which I call Face Melting Stats. So get ready to have your face melted, and I need your participation on this. IBM did some research a couple years ago and asked CEOs all around the world from a bunch of different industries, what is the number one most required leadership skill for leaders at all levels? And creativity made that list. The question is, do you think it was number 4 on that list, or do you think it was number 1 on that list? If you think it was number 4, I want you to say, hey. If you think it's number 1, I want you to say, ho. Woo, you guys are awesome. It's actually number 1. Is that shocking? I mean, I've been talking about innovation and creativity for 8 years, and when I started, I would go into a company, and I was just like an elective course. I was open enrollment. It's like, we need some training classes. Why don't we just throw innovation in there? And people would come to my class, and they'd have fun, and then they'd leave, and their company really didn't care whether they were there or not. But I'll tell you this, within the last 4 years, there has not been a company that I've gone into where innovation was not somewhere in their mission statement, their vision statement, their company name, their tagline. And now we see creativity, which used to not even have a place in leadership, and now it's elevated to the number 1 most desired quality in leaders at all levels. We need to be creative. Round 2. Teams using basic creativity tools produce blank percentage more ideas than teams without tools. If you think it's 500%, say, hey. If you think it's 100, say, ho. Look at you guys going big, man. This is Vegas. Go big or go home, but you were wrong. It's 100%. So here's some good news. There are some tools out there, and when we use those tools, we can create at least twice as many good ideas. But I was more with you guys saying 500%. I was with a bunch of IT professionals on Tuesday in Orlando, kind of like you guys, only you guys are much better looking and much more intelligent. Do you agree with that? Yeah, we do. Give yourself a high five because of that. Yeah, I'm good looking and smart. And I was working with this team. There's about 120 people. And we did some brainstorming using some creativity tools, and in about 28 minutes, these guys had generated over 1,000 ideas. So we need to be creative, and there are tools that can help us to be creative. I'm going to share some of those tools with you guys today. Round number 3. What percentage of a team's creative climate is directly credited to their leader? If you think that's 67%, say, hey. If you think it's 25, say, ho. I'm like naughty by nature up in here. Are you guys with me? 67% is right. So a lot of people find excuses as to why we can't be innovative. Well, I want to be innovative, but I don't work for a company that allows me to be innovative. But it's not the company's fault. It's not the company's responsibility. I would do workshops, and in that workshop, I'd have one person in the same company say, this is the most innovative place to work. And across the table from them, it's the same company, the other individual would say, this place isn't innovative at all. All my ideas get shot down. So it's not up to the company. This says the majority of the responsibility relies on the leader. And I don't want you to use that as an excuse either and say, well, my leader's not innovative, so I can't be. I want you to look at that and say, one person can make a difference in the creative climate, and I want that one person to be you guys. We need to be creative. There are tools that can help us to do that, and we can drive innovation and change within our organization. Now, that might feel like a lot of pressure, and some of you are going, but Rob, I'm not creative. I want you to take out a pen or pencil, wave it in the air like you care, and I want you to write down an answer to the question that I'm about to pose. And hopefully you have one of my flyers. If you have one of my flyers, write down the answer on the top of that flyer. The question that I want to pose to you is, where and when do you do your most creative thinking? Everybody should be writing right now, waking up and then writing. What are we supposed to write? Where and when do you do your most creative thinking? As specific and as honest as possible. Where are you and when is it when you do your most creative thinking? I ask this question a lot, and there's usually some themes that come out. So I want to poll you guys, and this is where I need your engagement as well. Look at your answer, and if your answer had something to do with while exercising, while running a 5K, when I'm going for a hike, when I'm in the gym, can you stand up? Will you stand up if it was something physical? Can you guys flex your muscles? Let's give it up for these guys right now. Sometimes I think they only see that because they want an opportunity to brag about going to the gym. Are you guys with me on that? I do my best thinking when I'm running a 5K, which was this morning, puke. No, it's awesome. I'm just jealous. And it's true, there's something about exercising which really releases endorphins and you get, you're in that zone, so that's a commonplace. Everybody look at your answer again. Where and when do you do your most creative thinking? If your answer has something to do with you being alone, please stand up. You do your most creative thinking when you're alone. Look at this, you guys. This is the majority. To have you not feel so alone, somebody standing next to you, give them another high five. You need it and they need it. Okay, have a seat. Isn't this weird? I ask this all the time and people are like, well, I do my most creative thinking in the shower. And I'm like, tell me that again, but do it in slow motion because I kind of like that. Or some people are like, when I commute to work or when I come home from work. Or people are like, before I go to sleep, maybe when I wake up. I was in the Netherlands 3 weeks ago and somebody said, I do my best thinking at 2 p.m. when I'm sitting on the toilet. And I thought, that's pretty graphic. But thank you for being honest. So we're doing our most creative thinking when we're alone. Let's think about that. Let me do poll number 3. Look at your answer again. I want you to stand up if your answer of where and when you do your most creative thinking is outside of work. Stand up if your answer is outside of work. Vast majority again. Is this scary? You guys can have a seat. Is this scary? We need to be creative leaders. We need to drive that climate of innovation and creativity for our companies, and we feel most creative when we're alone and we're outside of work. Can you imagine, we're in the office and somebody's like, I need a creative answer. And you're like, well, I got to get back to you because I got to go run a 5K, And then I got to go get a drink. And then I've got to get some sleep. And then I've got to wake up. And then I need to commute. And then at 2 p.m. when I'm sitting on the toilet, I hope that answer comes to me. And then I'll get back to you. So we need to be able to do it on demand. And you're saying, well, Rob, tell us how. And I'm like, okay, fine, I will. I have some gifts for you guys. It's almost like a Vegas buffet. And I want you to look at this Vegas buffet over the next 20 minutes and try to grab what things can you do that will allow you to be more of a creative leader at work. And the first gift I want to give you is this flyer. I hope you guys have this. Throw it in the air and wave it like we're at a concert. Yes. The second gift is on this flyer, and if you look at the front of it, you see something that I call the core model. And the core model introduces 4 things that we all can and should do at work to be more creative leaders and drive innovation and change within our organization. So the C in core stands for our ability to challenge norms. Can we actually consider new possibilities? We can't just wait for the next innovation to happen. We need to proactively consider how could we do things differently to stay ahead of trends. The O in core stands for our ability to stay open to new ideas. So as we generate these new ideas, are we really ready to listen to them? Do we know how to respond to them, or are we quick to shut them down? The R in core stands for our ability to take risks. Whenever there's innovation and creativity, we're doing something different. And whenever we're doing something different, there's some element of risk. Are we actually able to try to implement our new ideas? And the E in core stands for our ability to explore connections. Are we always looking, are we always open to see what's going on in the world, to look for inspiration to create even more opportunities for change? We're going to walk through this model a little bit more because I know you guys want it. And I want to start out with challenging norms. Challenging norms to me is about brainstorming. How are we going to survive tomorrow? How are we going to stay current? And let me tell you, I've seen some bad brainstorms in my day. You guys, this is the common brainstorm that I sit through. There's like a senior leader in the front of the room. There's a table full of people, and the senior leader goes, how are we going to double our revenue this year? And they look around, and everyone's just kind of sitting there, and then one brave soul's like, maybe we could get some more resources? And then the leader's like, we don't have the budget for that, and that's not on target. Any other ideas? And what happens to innovation and creative ideas and brainstorming at that point? It's dead, squashed. And then you get some leaders trying to be fun and creative, and they pull out a flip chart. Hey guys, how can we double revenue next year? We could have more resources. And then the leader writes it on the flip chart like they're creative and fancy, but it's the same response. We can't do that. We don't have the budget for it. But at least I've captured that moment so we can always remember that failure. Do you know what I mean? So how are we supposed to brainstorm? I'm going to tell you guys one of my favorite tools around brainstorming. It's simple. It's called challenging norms, and it's 2 steps. The first step is we're going to define the norms. So I was with this group of IT professionals on Tuesday in Orlando, and I said, what are the norms around the IT industry? And some of the things that they came up with, they said, well, there's always ongoing training. There's some element of a service and help desk. We kind of manage this knowledge base, and there's service levels which we're held accountable to. So step 1 is we define the norms. Step 2 is we toy with the idea of challenging them or flipping them. So our new possibilities could be, instead of ongoing training as we traditionally see it, maybe we could do more of a mentoring relationship. Maybe we could have webinars or conference calls. Instead of our standard service desk and help desk, what if we had a walk-up model? What if we had a retail space? What if we changed how we service people and guaranteed 60-second answers or solutions? Instead of a knowledge base, what if we made that more self-service? What if we expanded the knowledge base where we could answer anything? Like somebody calls you and goes, I need to retile my bathroom. And you're like, here are the materials that you need, and here's how to do it. Service levels. What if we offered premium memberships so people could get different levels of service that are willing to pay for it? What if we allowed our end user to write reviews on our service? What if we had pay for speed, almost like FedEx? Like you want an answer and a solution within X number of hours? Well, it's going to cost you more, and maybe they'll pay. So defining the norms and challenging the norms allows us to come up with these possibilities of something new for the future. The question that I have for you guys on the flyer, if you look under challenge norms, says, list the norms that you will consider challenging. I just presented you some for the IT industry as a whole. But you got to think about, what do you want to do within your company? What do you want to do within your division? What could you do within your team? What are the norms within your team? How could you challenge those to create new possibilities for the future? For me as a trainer and a presenter doing a keynote, I'm going to challenge the norms today, you guys. I'm going to end, when I finish, I'm going to bring up one of the most creative people on this planet to give some closing comments. Rob, tell us who it is. No, it's a cliffhanger. So challenging the norms allows us to come up with these possibilities. I want to share with you an idea that this IT group came up with in Orlando on Tuesday. I want you guys to take out your pen or pencil again. I write in my smartphone. Okay, go ahead and do that. I want you to write down your response on what you think about this idea. Are you guys ready for this idea? I can't hear you, Vegas. Are you guys ready for this idea? Yeah, here it is. I want you to write down your response to it. It's called the Tech Checkup. See the little up in there? The Tech Checkup. So this is regularly scheduled one-on-one appointments with IT to solve problems, answer questions, and provide education. So kind of like regularly scheduled doctor visits, only we're going to have regularly scheduled IT visits where you guys get to meet with your end customers on a regular basis. Write down your response. What do you think about that? What is your gut response? As you look at that response, let me ask you guys, how many of you would look at that response that you've just written down and could tell me that your response is encouraging and positive and momentum building? If that's your response, say yay and wave your hand like this. Yay. Couple of yays. I like this. Can you imagine the creative climate if everybody were to say yay? But what oftentimes happens is we say boo, and we say why something won't work. And this is such a critical point in our creative climate. When somebody actually has the courage to present an idea to you as a leader, and here I am ready to receive that idea, how I respond to that idea will either increase the creative climate of my organization or it could potentially unravel it. And it's such a critical point that I have another acronym for you guys. I have another tool, and that tool is called POINT. And if you turn your flyer over, you can see a point workshop, point worksheet. So when somebody's presenting a new idea to me, how do I respond to that? The first way I should respond is to list some positives. As difficult as it may be, as crazy as their idea may sound, I want to think about what is actually good about this idea. The IT Tech Checkup, what's good about it? I get one-on-one time with my customers. I want to spend some time thinking about the positives. And then I move on to opportunities. And opportunities is about what would success bring if this thing were actually implemented and it were successful. So maybe this IT checkup, I'm able to meet with people. I see some best practice that people are using, and I'm able to now share that because I have that one-on-one connections with my customers. Third and only third, do we get to talk about the I, which is issues. And here comes one of those moments where a keynote speaker goes, if you remember anything from this keynote, remember this. And it's to put issues not first, but third. I had a participant once tell me, like, I went to law school, and in law school, they were just bragging about that. In law school, they told me that I should talk about issues first and tell you why something won't work. What does that do for a creative climate? Kills it. So I want you to move it third, and I want you to put it in the phrase of a question. Instead of saying, well, we don't have the resources to do the IT checkup, the tech checkup, we change that into a question, which is how might we ensure that our existing resources can meet the demand that this new initiative puts forth? And by asking a question, our brain automatically tries to answer it. That's just how we are as humans. Ask me a question, I want to answer it. And new thinking becomes the answers to our most critical question. This point methodology, you guys, if you implement this at your work, it will completely change the creative climate, and it's easy to do. We get new ideas all the time, but we've got to be able to analyze them and hear them to determine if we should move forward. With this worksheet, I want you to look at the IT checkup again, and the last person that you gave an I-5 to, I want you to spend 1 minute with them, and I want the two of you, or maybe three of you, you got to grab somebody. There's no loners here. You got to grab people in. I want you guys to list down some positives and some opportunities for the tech checkup. So, we have to work together? I thought I was just going to zone out. No. Find that person you gave a high five to and have a 1 minute discussion listing down some positives and opportunities for the tech checkup. Go. 60 seconds. Find somebody. Group. What do you think? Give me some positives. What do you guys think? Positives. You like it? Give me a positive. What do you think?
You get to know if there's any problem before they actually.
Okay. Get to know your customer. Thank you. You guys have some positives for me? Give me some.
Get to know your customer, get ahead of problems, help with forecasting your budget.
High five again. Love it. Love it. About 10 more seconds. Was that awesome that you got to talk with somebody? Give them another high five, you guys. Oh, the high fives are only getting better. Hug each other. That's too much, right? That's like maybe afternoon, like around 1 or 2 o'clock, you'll consider that. So I hope you notice the energy change. I mean, initially when we hear these new ideas, we're like, I want to shut it down. And I gave you guys about a minute to explore what are some of the possibilities and the opportunities, some of the positives. And I walked around and I gathered some things. And I heard people say it's going to help us forecast our budget a little more. We get to encounter problems before they exist. This point analysis can really help you change that climate. And when you do that, you've not only come up with ideas, but now you've explored an idea, you possibly built momentum around that idea, and now it's time to consider, well, how do I move this thing forward, and am I actually able to take a risk? And anytime we talk about innovation, we're talking about change, and anytime we talk about change, there's an element of risk. And I want you to think about 2 things when I talk about risk. One is, are you able, this is my new favorite word, I'm going to share it with you guys because I feel like we have a relationship built here. My new favorite word is mini-test. I used to like the word pilot, but pilot to me means I need to ask for permission, I need to get a budget, I need resources, I need a project plan, I want to see if this thing is going to work. But my new favorite is mini-test. And mini-test means I don't need to ask for permission, I don't need to ask for budget, I don't need to ask for resources. If I have an idea for the IT checkup as an example, can I just pull one of my customers and try it out? Can I try it with the members of my team? Well, I don't even need to ask for anybody, so I can get some feedback and see if this thing is actually going to work. I flew on Delta through Atlanta on Monday, and I was waiting at the gate, and the gate agent gets on the thing, and he says, hey, we're going to board our medallions first, and I'm like Diamond on Delta, no big deal. You guys, it's just who I am. And they're like, oh, normally we board all of our medallions at the same time, but the guy's like, I want to try something different. I'm going to board by medallion. I'm like, yes, now I get to show that I'm a diamond, And he said, this isn't Delta company policy. I just want to see this out. There's only 17 of you, so I want to try it out and see how it works. And I thought, this guy is mini-testing. Mini-testing is easy, you guys. I don't want excuses for innovation. Well, I had this idea, but the company won't fund it. Go run a mini-test. Get some data and some feedback, so now you can decide, is this something that I want to move forward? So underneath risks, it's not on there. I want you to write the word mini-test. What I do want you to write on there, it says, how can you make failure safe and rewarded? And you might think, what? Failure? Reward failure? We've got to take risks when we innovate. And risk is fine if we win. You guys know what I mean because we're in Vegas, right? Like, dude, I'll bet big. As long as I win, I'm fine. But what happens when we lose? We've got to make failure okay. I worked for American Express for about 12 years, and I was based in Sydney, Australia, which you can probably tell from my Australian accent. It's a joke, mates. And I was responsible for the training aspect of launching the American Express gift card in Japan. And we launched it in a city called Fukuoka. I love saying that. Fukuoka. So we went over to Fukuoka, and we thought, let's launch this Japan gift card. They're doing a lot of, cash exchange in hand, so this thing's going to be a success. And we spent months and months doing it. We spent a lot of money, millions of dollars launching this product. We finally launched it, and about 3 to 6 months after we launched it, it was a failure, and we had to pull out. And I remember being in Sydney and thinking, man, my boss in Singapore is going to call me. I know it. And I waited about 3 weeks, and I didn't get a call. And on the 4th week, I got a call, but it wasn't my boss in Singapore. It was his boss in New York. And she says, Rob, you know that Japan gift card thing you did in Fukuoka? And I said, it's actually Fukuoka! Yeah. And I was like taking off my badge. I was ready to resign. And she said, because of the learnings from that, we're awarding you one of the biggest awards that American Express has to offer, and we're going to fly your family to Cannes, France for a week, all expenses paid. And that was the first time that my daughter flew on an airplane, was to go to Cannes, France to celebrate my failure. Now, I'm not saying that you guys need to send all of your failures to France, but you do need to think about, how can I make failure okay and safe and rewarded? Because if people aren't willing to take risks, they're not going to be willing to suggest new ideas and try new things, and we're not going to innovate, and we're not going to change. And as you heard this morning, if we don't change, we die. So how can you make risk safe and rewarded? And the last part of the core model is all around our ability to explore connections. And exploring connections is about, do I understand the latest trends that are out there? I taught a course at Fordham University in New York City last year, and the course was called Innovation and Resilience, and it was for entrepreneurs. You always have to sound French when you say that. Entrepreneur. Fukuoka! Sorry, I just wanted to say it again. And these guys, I had about 30 kids in my class. They were about ages 22 to 24. There were 30 of them. This was a year ago in New York City. Let me ask you guys this question. I want you to guess how many of them had a Facebook account. If you think that 20 to 30 of them had a Facebook account, I want you to say, oh yeah. If you think that less than 10 had a Facebook account, I want you to say, ooh. The answer was 4. Seems like a lot of you got that right. I was shocked by it, man. And I asked them, why don't you guys have a Facebook account? And the number one answer was, because your mom does. I'll talk about my mom. But they talked about privacy. They talked about, I'm trying to build real relationships. So quickly, trends change. We've got to be open to explore that. I've listed a couple trends on there. The one I just told you about is millennials. You got a trend around machine to machine, where like my fridge is going to tell my phone that I need some more milk. Bite-sized communication is hot right now. You guys are aware of this. Are you guys cool right now where you just send a message only in the subject line and then you're like, EOM, end of message? You guys do that? That's so hot right now. Okay, bite size is hot. And also what's hot is gaming mechanics. Things like Starbucks. I go and I get stars, and when I get those stars, I eventually get a free drink, and then I'm screaming in my car, triple grande soy latte for free, woo! And I give myself a high five. So you've got to think about these connections and these things that are going on, because that's going to give us inspiration for more possibilities for change. Now, if it's okay with you guys, can I bring my special guest star up on the stage? Is that okay? And I got to tell you this individual has been a life coach to me for about the last 9 years. And whenever I think maybe I'm not creative enough, this is the person that I go to. I'd like to introduce on stage the light of my life, Solana Ligaya Cordova. Will you guys put your hands together for her? Hey, Solana. So I asked Solana to think about, if she were to give advice to adults on how to be creative, what would she say? And she also wants to give us her insights on gaming mechanics and gaming gamification. So, Solana.
Have you ever heard of gamification? It's like turning work into a game. I love playing video games. I once played a game, and in the game, I was the owner of a dragon zoo, like being the owner of a business. In the game, I had quests, like having goals. When I finished a quest, I would get money or something. You should try having goals sometimes. Like I was saying, a dragon zoo. I had dragons. They were like my workers. I had to upgrade my dragons, like training your workers. When my dragons got to a new level, they would get a prize, and so would I. Usually in real business, the boss wouldn't get anything. Try doing this sometimes. Have fun with work. And yes, I wrote this all by myself, but I couldn't have done it without my creative parents.
Solana Ligaya Cordova, you guys, put your hands together. Is she sweet? She is available for consulting work. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Vegas buffet. I've given you 4 different things to think about. I hope that you've been able to come up with 1 or 2 things that you could leave here with that could really allow you to become more of a creative leader and drive innovation and change within your organization. And I would hope that what is learned in Vegas leaves Vegas. Do you know what I mean? Thanks, everybody. Have a great conference. Thanks for your time. Thank you.